In this video, I want to talk about the Charlie Munger quote about the first $100,000 in your portfolio. I know this isn't a very unique topic because a lot of people have made videos about it and people continue to make videos about it. After all, it is reported that he said it over 30 years ago. But it is such an interesting topic and it is such a key milestone in your investment journey. I think there is always a reason to have a conversation about it and to hear a fresh perspective. In this video, I want to discuss why it's so hard to achieve it and why it gets easier. I'm also going to cover how average Americans are doing. Is it truly that difficult, or is it just a cliche statement from a billionaire? I'm also going to run a couple of investment scenarios where we build a portfolio from $0 to $100,000 and then we build it from $100,000 plus. I'm also going to provide you some tips on how to get to your first 100. But first, here's a little bit about me. Hi, welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching. Here's a little bit about me. My household consists of myself, my husband, and my toddler. My mom also lives with us, but she's not included in our finances. We live in a high cost of living city in the Northeast. My husband and I both went to graduate school, but fortunately, we no longer have student loan debt. I work in banking and he works in aviation. I take care of the family's finances, and I love my role as the self-appointed CFO. I love to talk about all things money, whether it's investing, saving, or making money. I look forward to sharing a wealth building journey with you. I look forward to getting to know you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. In response to somebody asking him on the best tip on how to build wealth, Charlie Munger, who is a billionaire in his own right, as well as Warren Buffett's BFF, made the following statement. The first $100,000 is a B, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do. If it means walking everywhere and not eating anything that wasn't purchased with a coupon, find a way to get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas a little bit. If you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to hit the like button so the algorithm knows that it's good. And of course, subscribe for more content. If you think any of the information that I provide here might be helpful to somebody else, be sure to share it with them. How true is this statement? Here is why the first $100,000 is so difficult. It is both a behavioral question and a mathematical question. On the behavior side, it requires starting. In order for you to start saving and investing, you first have to be aware that this is a tool that is available for you to build wealth. You must know that you need to do it in order to begin. Second, being aware that you need to invest doesn't mean that you know how to invest. Knowledge is important. You need to learn the difference between saving and investing, risk versus reward, as well as cost of investment. And third, everybody goes through this. There are lessons. Whether you make mistakes or you fall for scams, everybody has an expensive investment lesson that they learn. In my case, it was penny stocks and panic selling. When the market would crash, I would freak out and I would panic, putting me in a situation where I would sell at the bottom. These days, with all the YouTube influencers who are getting paid for promotions, there are lots of people who are doing crypto pumps and dumps. It also requires consistency. Discipline and habits take time. When you start with nothing, you don't just get $100,000 overnight. It's a series of steps that you take that will lead you to that eventually. You have to learn to be consistent. The discipline and habits that you learn while you're maintaining consistency, as well as when you are learning to recover from setbacks throughout your first $100,000 journey, are things that you are going to carry with you throughout your investing career. And if you spend years doing something, it only gets easier over time. This is the behavioral side of the first 100,000. What does the mathematical side look like? It takes money to make money. Regardless of your returns, the balance has an outsized influence on how much you're earning. But it also allows for better risk management. We often hear that higher risk leads to higher reward. That is true up to a certain point, but reward is not directly proportional to risk. As risk increases, reward also increases, but only to a certain point. After that point, any further increases in risk doesn't necessarily guarantee reward. If anything, additional increases in risk past a certain point might actually cost you money. What does this have to do with the first $100,000? Well, here it is. If you have $10,000 and you have a 50% return on $10,000, you get $5,000. But if you have $100,000 and you get a 7% return on $100,000, you get $7,000. Which of these two people do you think had to take on more risk? What what kind of investment these days is giving you 50% return versus the kind of investment that is giving you 7% return. You don't have to take as much risk as your balance grows. And by not taking a ton of risk in order to boost your returns, you are putting yourself in a position where you are more likely to keep more of your money. $100,000 in an investment portfolio should be an attainable goal, but most people will never get there. According to the Federal Reserve Bank's survey of consumer finances in 2019, which is the most recent one, the net worth of all Americans, including the home equity, was $122,000 at the median and $747,000 on average. Don't forget that ultra high net worth people will skew the mean. Because of that, the average is going to be much higher than the median, but the median is going to be much more reflective of the general population. But this video is about $100,000 in an investment account. Given what home values have done in the last couple of years, it's not really fair to include the home equity if we're trying to estimate what investment balances look like. Given that retirement accounts tend to be the accounts in which people have most of their savings outside of their homes, I decided to look at what retirement account values were. The median was $65,000 and the average was $255,000. This is not really indicative of a population that is reaching 100,000. What does this mean? Does this mean that it is truly difficult? It depends. It depends on your income, your savings rates, what type of investments you have. I'll use my story as an example. In my case, it took me about 6 years to reach the first $100,000. Ultimately, I had about $80,000 in cash plus my 401k balance. I was contributing to my 401k up to the employer match. I would have reached it faster if I had invested more rather than saving more. As you can see, my cash account made up a significant portion of that $100,000 net worth. Beyond the first $100,000, I was not tracking that very well. Plus, I got married. A second income really boosted our net worth. Not to mention that I eventually managed to grow my net worth by leveraging real estate. There was a point where I did completely stop counting how long it was taking me to reach the different milestones. But to give you a more concrete example, I did run some scenarios. The first one is a $0 to $100,000 scenario. Here are some of the assumptions that I'm using. Evidently, the starting point is $0. I am estimating a 24% savings rate on a $50,000 income. That is a relatively high savings rate, but it is not even FIRE level savings rate. A lot of people in the FIRE community are saving 50% of their income. So I'm using 24 as a way to separate this person from the average American, but not make them quite a FIRE super saver. And that 24% consists of a 5% contribution to get the full 5% employer match, $2,500 each per year, a $6,000 contribution going into the Roth IRA every year, and maxing out an HSA for $3,650. I am also going to assume a 6% return rate, which is relatively conservative because we have been averaging 7 to 10% in recent years. The results show that it takes approximately 6 years to reach $100,000. The calculator here shows 5.72 years. But what happens when you start at $100,000 and you keep contributing the same amount? How long does it take to reach the different milestones? We are keeping the exact same assumptions, but we are using a starting point of $100,000. Here are the results. It takes 4.5 years to get to $200,000. In fact, by the end of year 5, the ending balance is $219,000. But to get to $300,000, it only takes about 3 years. When you wrap up year 8, the final balance is $308,000. And again, it only takes another 2.5 years to reach $400,000. Between years 8 and years 11, your final balance is $415,000. But you'll notice something interesting. At year 7, your returns start to exceed your contributions, and that includes the employer match. With everything included, there are $14,650 going into this person's account. By year 7, the returns are exceeding $15,000, and that is the power of a high balance. Remember the initial example of 50% of $10,000 compared to 7% of $100,000? Those returns exceeding contributions, that's where your money is made. When your money starts making money for you and it starts making more money than you're making, you've made it. But in order to get there, you need that high balance first. But how do you get there? Well, you have to start early. Time is your second greatest asset. In my opinion, there are 3 great assets to wealth building. First is your income. You can't save what you don't have. have. Second is time, because of the power of compounding. And third is obviously the asset itself. Not everybody has a high income, not everybody has a high balance, but everybody has time. Well, at least the people who aren't already 70. So if you're in your 20s, your 30s, or even your 40s, you still have time because you have decades to save and invest. Tip number 2, free is best. Make sure you get the employer match. When I was at my previous employer, I was getting 6%. My husband is currently getting 5%. I have never once missed out on a match. That is 100% return on your money. It is free money. If you don't take it, they don't write you a check. So make sure you contribute to get at least the match. Tip number 3, keep more of your money. Make sure you use tax advantage accounts. Different people have different tax strategies based on age, based on future spending needs, based on current income. Everybody has a different strategy that works for them, but have one. There's a traditional account strategy, there's a Roth account strategy, there's a combination. Some people are all Roth and nothing else. Some people are all traditional, and some people do a combination, but have a strategy. Also consider an HSA, a health savings account, if it meets your needs. Number 4, reinvest. Dividends are passive income, but they're not free money. Don't let idle cash sit in your account. Don't withdraw it. Reinvest it so you can build that balance up and get more returns. And finally, learn to protect your returns. Keep your costs low. Actively managed funds are very expensive, but they don't do that much better. In fact, more than 80% of actively managed funds over time underperform the index. It's truly not worth it. I'm going to include the link to the Federal Reserve Bank Survey of Consumer Finances in the description box below. There's a really nice interactive chart that you can take a look at if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But I want to hear from you. Where are you in your investing journey? Are you a seasoned investor with a 7-figure portfolio? If you are, leave us some tips. Are you a new investor who's just learning the ropes? Wherever you are in your investment journey, I want to learn from you. Leave me a note in the comment section and let's start a conversation. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next time. I would like to continue sharing my thoughts on all things money with you. So I would appreciate it if you could help out the channel by liking this video and sharing it with anyone you think might benefit from it. If you want to see more content, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can know when new videos come out. I'll see you in the next one.